welcome back to my desk. We have hopefully a relatively easy project today. We're going to do another remote control repair. These seem to go gangbusters on my channel for some reason. Everybody loves the rubber keypad repairs on the remotes. This TV was donated to me recently with a claim that the only reason they're getting rid of it is because the remote control is getting a little bit dicky. So far it works pretty well. Now on most remote controls and most cameras, the infrared filter is a bit weedy, so you can see when the remote's working. So this seems to be working relatively well, but I'm going to open it up and have a look anyway. I think maybe there might have been other issues at play. Either way, this is a nice little TV. We'll see what we can do with it. Alright, well the first thing I like to do when I open a remote is check the battery bay. That's where most of the problems on these remotes come from. We have a couple of little green cell cheap batteries or active energy. I've seen a few of these. These are usually the ones that are shipped with the remote control, one of these cheap ones. But either way, we're going to test the voltage of those batteries first before we go any further. We are in the 20 volt range on the meters. We're going to use the fine probes and go one end of this. So 1.56 volts is pretty close to good spec, so they're not that old. That's pretty good for a pair of batteries. They're probably not the issue. I'm going to take a look at the remote on the top for a start. Buttons feel pretty good. It's fairly new. I don't see much else going on here. It all feels really good. There's not much sign of water damage, although you never know what you're going to find when you open it. Now, in previous situations, I have neglected a screw that is sometimes in here, and I did a little bit of damage opening it. So be careful when you open these. This is a tool Tinkerman Mick gave me, and they're magic. Okay, once you get a starting spot, you can work your way around here and pop all the snap clips. Sometimes you'll need two tools, other times you get lucky. Notice I'm going from the top, not the bottom. Usually the snap clips are on the top half, so we're lifting up on the rear shell and trying to pop those clips out. There's our infrared filters just popped out. And you can see here in this case, the recesses are here and the nub is still there. So in this case, it's still the correct motion to lift up the rear shell. Work our way around. Sometimes you can do damage with these, and in this case, we probably just did one there. Either case, this is a free one, so I'm not being as careful as I would if this was a repair for somebody else. I'm being a little haphazard here, because there is not much love to be lost, and these are not expensive. Okay, there is a lot of dust and debris in there, so we just want to have a look at the snap clips. So unfortunately, a lot of these are designed to self-destruct when you break them open too. So the snap clips, they looked like they were snapping off, but it's actually, I think, just the finishing. Now, when you look at these things, you might be looking for signs of moisture or worn pads on the back here. And there is signs of moisture in this top pad here. So it may have been wet at some point. And there is a little bit of oil. If we peel this pad off, we can see some dust, dirt and debris. But it's that power one that's the wet one, and that's obviously the one that's going to cause the problem. These will go in the kitchen sink with some soapy dishwashing detergent. It can be tempting to use things like isopropyl alcohol in these, but you'll find you'll get a really weird scenario where these start to curl up, and they're never quite the same after you hit them with alcohol. So warm soapy water, the plastic will go in as well, and believe it or not, provided the batteries are out, the circuit board itself can go under. Give it a good scrub as well, although this I'm going to use probably circuit board cleaner or isopropyl alcohol on the board. You can see here where the power button is, you can see the imprint of whatever was dirty on there. So this should be just a simple case of cleaning it up, and that's pretty common. The contacts here look fairly clean. It doesn't look like there's any sign of dirt and debris damage.
A few moments later.
Okay, fresh out of the sink. Looks like new again, nice and shiny and clean. Alright, this I put in dishwasher soaked water and then gave it a rinse in nice, reasonably hot water, and sat it on a towel and pushed the towel down until it dried out. It looks good, particularly the power button here. Got no more goo on it. The back looks good. They can sit off the side and dry. Infrared filter's fine, and battery door is fine. Now we move on to the main board, where we've got to deal with this bit of stuff. Normally I'd chuck this in the soapy water, but we're going to use IPA today just to show you how else it can be done. The main reason being is that sometimes you can get water underneath the chip, and over time that can cause a problem. Isopropyl alcohol is not quite the issue because of its low evaporation point. So because I don't want to leave this sitting overnight, I want to test it right now, we're going to use isopropyl alcohol. Now, because IPA stinks, we're going to get our fan outlet, which is a nice little ducted fan overhead. Now, I have a toothbrush here with the bristles trimmed, which is probably dirtier than the actual board. But anyway, start with the top end, and we'll give this bit a bit of a scrub. That's our main area of focus. Try not to push too hard. We don't need to push hard. It's only really thin circuit boards they put in this. It's about 0.6 millimeters or something. Give this a bit of a soaking. It's got a bit of junk sitting on here. For some reason in this area of the remote controls, they always seem to accumulate greasy junk. The other thing that can happen if these get dropped in water, this capacitor here can go. Relatively easy to change. The chip, there's not much to go wrong with these chips. This little resistor, you can replace it with a through-hole job if you need. Same as the LED, that's just a 5mm infrared LED, and they're usually about the 850 nanometer, I believe. 940s will also work. Let's let this dry off and we'll reassemble and see what happens. Now, speaking of cleaning, I am aware of the astute among you that I do need to clean my keyboard. I do that regularly because the keyboard, to be honest, is dirtier than your toilet seat. It's literally the dirtiest thing in the house. It's your mouse and keyboard. Let's put our membrane pad back in, and we will attach this to the rear section. Still a little bit wet with IPA, but wave it round a bit, that will start to evaporate very quickly. There's that section there. We'll worry about that bit in a minute. Take your infrared filter, which does appear to be keyed, but it's universally keyed, so it won't matter which way up we put it. Position you like that. We might start from that end first, if we can get those keys to line up. There we go. Now these are not necessarily top of the line brand either, but they are sold by JCar. They're new and they're a known quantity, and they are alkaline. However, generally alkaline batteries in a remote are a bad idea. Try and use dry cells. Dry cells, like carbon zinc batteries, won't tend to leak like alkalines will, and they're designed for low current long-term devices. Alkalines are more designed for high current short term. So if you can find dry cells, they'll last probably about 5 or 10 years in your remote. You'll probably never need to change them, whereas alkalines you are going to have to change them probably about every 6 to 12 months. Alright, let's test this remote. Let's turn our main lights off. Over here, desk lights off. Let's turn you. Yep, that works. Power button. That button. Every other button, I'm going to guess, is going to work just fine. Hello from the reflection. Let's try the on button. I believe it's plugged in. There we go. It did work. It just doesn't give you any confirmation light on the bottom. Okay, so now let's go. Let's try a menu button. Menu. We can go left and cross. We can go. What's on USB? I wonder if I can play something on USB from this. I don't know. Photo, music, movie, game. Really? Have we got games? We've got games on it. Okay, let's try Snake. On easy mode. This should be a good test with the remote. Wow, this is reminiscent of Nokia's. To be honest, this is the first TV I've ever found that actually has games on it. I mean, I know they're on a lot of TVs, but I've never had one that has one. So far, the remote is working pretty well, so I think we've had a win. I don't think I really need to play too much Snake to figure out that the remote works. But in any case, dishwashing detergent, most of the time, is all you need to fix your remote. Don't worry about isopropyl alcohol or fancy stuff. sometimes it can make it worse. Now I'm going to get hooked on Snake. So I guess we'll see you in the next video. And enjoy a bit of a Snake montage. I'm probably going to film this and then speed it up.